In the news, Patty Jenkins is confirmed as director for the Wonder Woman sequel, and they've added writer Dave Callahan to help pen the script. With this news, Patty is officially the highest paid female filmmaker in history. Well, congratulations to Patty Jenkins, because that's phenomenal news for you, for your family, for everything that is kind of involved in your life, to actually break that milestone. Great work there. I think it's deserved, because Wonder Woman is a fantastic film. It's definitely in my top 10 for the year, and it might actually break the top 10 for my favorite superhero films, quote unquote, of all time. It's just a really well done story. The characters are great. Gal Gadot is perfect as Wonder Woman, in my opinion. So I was really pleased to see that the studios are ponying up the dough to actually make this work so she can come back and direct it. The rumor mill right now, from what I've seen online, is she's getting somewhere around the ballpark of like $8 million to direct, which is cool. But more importantly, she's getting money on the back end as well. So she's going to get some points back there on the take for whatever it makes in theaters. So with the mad money, the millions upon hundreds of millions of dollars that Wonder Woman made worldwide, this is great news for Patty Jenkins. So as long as Wonder Woman 2 delivers, I think she's going to be sitting pretty for a while, and she'll have, with this, not just a ton of money, but with this type of money, it allows her the freedom to kind of pick and choose what projects she wants to work on going forward, because with that money, she now has the financial freedom to look at things and go, okay, financially, I think I'm okay for a while. So what are some of my passion projects that I've always wanted to do but couldn't get the funding for? So I think it'll be great for her. I think it's going to be great for us as movie lovers, because we're hopefully going to get a great Wonder Woman 2. I believe we will. But it's great for Patty Jenkins, because now she's going to have all that dough, and she can actually sit back and go, well, what's a story that I really, really want to tell for a long time that I haven't been able to? And I think now, with the success of Wonder Woman and the hopeful success of Wonder Woman 2, she'll have that, and then she'll be able to deliver something to us that is fresh and just brand new from her eyes and from how she sees the world. And I think that could be pretty cool. I don't know if she's got these projects. I'm sure she does. She's a creative. Creatives, we always have these ideas of things we'd like to do, but we might not have, the means or something to get around to completing those tasks. So hopefully this works out for her, and she can start delivering to us fresh news stories that she's come up with, that she's passionate about, along with delivering great films like Wonder Woman and the sequel to Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman 2. Now, as far as Dave Callahan coming in, he did the Expendables 1, 2, and 3. And he was the writer for that. So honestly, I don't know what to expect from that news. Now, I love the Expendables movies. These are just great popcorn action flicks that bring me back to my childhood in the 80s, just watching action movies going, stuff's blowing up, this is awesome. However, I will say that the writing in the Expendables films is the weakest part, because it's not really centered on the dialogue and the conversations as much as it is knowing that these people have a relationship as like expendable ex-military folks that can go into these dangerous situations, similar to like the Suicide Squad. And if they die, they die. If they don't, they save the world. But the premise of these films is usually pretty thin. The plot is thin. Like, the dialogue isn't great. The story, the action, like it's usually fun, but I would say the writing is kind of on the lower end of the enjoyment scale for me. Like, the dialogue is very kind of bop, 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 bop. It's not conversational. It's just kind of like they're talking at each other. They're not talking with each other. And we'll get to that a little bit more in the movie review segment, because I had that complaint about a film that I saw this weekend. So we'll cover that there again. But yeah, I look at the situation and I go, okay, cool. I'm super happy that Patty Jenkins is coming back. I just want to hear who's going to be coming in to punch up the dialogue, and who's going to script doctor this for us to make sure that while Dave delivers us a great action story, there's going to be someone who's also going to come in to complement what I think is an area of opportunity with dialogue and character building. So he can create the story and the action, but who's going to be that script doctor, quote unquote, to come in and kind of punch up the relationships, the dialogue, like the heart of the story. J.J. Abrams is confirmed as the director for Star Wars Episode 9 and is currently working on the 4th version of the script with Chris Terrio. The film's release has been pushed from the summer of 2019 to December of 2019. So this is great news for us as Star Wars fans, because that means we're continuing the tradition of Star Wars Christmas. Not a Star Wars Christmas special, but Star Wars at Christmas time. And that's always fun because, you know, you're already in a good mood because it's the Christmas season, it's the holidays, you know, people are planning trips. It's that really important time of year where everyone's thinking about each other and like everyone's trying to do nice things for each other, like family, friends, even strangers. So everyone's generally in a pretty good mood. There's a lot of stress in the holidays, but we got a movie like Star Wars coming out now to where we can be like, this is great. We don't have to, it's not going to be mixed in with the summer blockbusters. It's going to hold that December place, which I'm pretty happy about. Now, as far as Chris Terrio coming in to write it, I don't know. I haven't seen Justice League yet. I want to see what he does with Justice League because he was part of the writing team for that, and they brought in Joss Whedon to help fix a lot of things. So much so that now Joss Whedon is getting writer's credit, as we've talked about before on this show in previous episodes. So with JJ coming back, I'm excited because when he did The Force Awakens, I enjoyed it. I know that people were like, well, it's just a rehash. Just haters everywhere. Whatever. The film was good. The characters were good. Rey's theme was fantastic. Anytime that comes on my iTunes playlist, it just puts me back in that moment when I first heard it in the movie. And I was like, man, this is a great song. There's a lot of really positive things that came out of The Force Awakens, and we have J.J. Abrams to thank for that. So the fact that he's coming back to do Episode 9, I like that. I know there's some people who they've got some reservations. They're a little hesitant. Maybe has some trepidation about the whole thing. Whatever you want to call it, I'm excited that he's coming back because I'd like to see how he wants to finish this off. Now, after he did The Force Awakens, he mentioned that he would like to kind of join back into the Star Wars world to kind of finish telling the story at some point. But he was happy to hand it off to Rian Johnson for Episode 8. So I think it's going to be a good thing that he's coming back. I would like to see how he finishes this story and how he wraps up and ties in everything. But again, with Chris Terrio, I don't really know how I feel because I haven't seen Justice League, and I don't know how much of Justice League was his writing versus, what Joss Whedon is punching up now. So much so, again, that he's getting writer's credit. So I just look at the situation and I go, okay, I'm 50-50 on it, right? I'm 50% happy JJ's coming back, and 50% kind of, that we may or may not get, something awesome because of, what has happened on Justice League. Now, Justice League, I could be completely wrong. Maybe Chris Terrio's portion of the writing on that script was great, and Joss Whedon is just punching up everything else. But I don't know. Justice League hasn't come out yet. It comes out in November, so we'll have to wait and see for that. So I'm happy on one hand, JJ's coming back. On the other hand, I'm just like, well, we'll have to wait and see kind of what happens with Justice League. But in general, as far as just the news of him coming back, I think that's great. Also, I like the fact that they pushed it back, so they're giving themselves time. They got some room to breathe, to really craft this story. Like we just heard on the notes, this is the 4th version of the script. So I'm happy that they've pushed it back, and I think you should be happy too, because that tells us that they don't want to rush it. They want to make sure everything is fleshed out, the characters are fully developed, that the story arc is going to resolve itself in a way that makes sense and kind of delivers and makes everybody happy. Even if it delivers in a way that makes you kind of go, wow, I didn't expect that. At least we'll walk out of the theater going, still a great film. They surprised me with a fantastic ending. Really happy overall. Like that's what I'm hoping with this extra time that we're going to get for them to write the story and create the story and then film everything and edit CGI, etc. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. I think you should be. If you're happy about J.J. Abrams coming back, you're right there with me. If you're not, go ahead and throw some comments below and share why. you think that this is a bad, or not necessarily bad, but just questionable. And then also throw in who you would have liked to see direct. Don't just come in and complain for the sake of complaining. Come in and say, look, I don't like it. This is why, and this is who I think should have done the job. And start that conversation down below. Let's get it going, and let's move on to the next topic. Blumhouse announced that we're getting another Halloween movie in October of 2019. Jamie Lee Curtis will be returning to the franchise. I feel like this is more nostalgia than anything else. With all of these, with Star Wars doing well, with the fact that you have Stranger Things coming out, a second season, and the first season did gangbusters as far as their critical and audience response. I feel like there's just this thing that's going on where everybody, myself included, really wants to go back to the 80s because the 80s were awesome. If you're telling me Mike Myers is going to be in a movie, I don't expect that it's the crazy Halloween killer. Like, I think Mike Myers, Wayne's World, everything else. Like, even though like he really did like a number with The Love Guru and he hasn't recovered from that, from what it seems as far as comedy goes, you tell me Mike Myers is in a movie, I automatically think Canadian comedian Mike Myers. I don't ever assume that it's the crazy Halloween killer. So I don't know. Like, I get that a lot of people are excited. This is important news because Blumhouse, as we've discussed before on this show, they do a really good job taking these films that have lower budgets and delivering a great product. And they specialize in the horror genre. So this is really just falling right into the wheelhouse of what they can do with a film and what they're talented and what they excel at. So I think it's a good news for horror fans. Even though myself, I'm not a horror fan, I don't really get horror movies. Like, I don't understand the concepts of why people would want to be scared. It just doesn't, I don't get it. But I get that there's people who like this stuff. Like, I've dated girls who love horror movies, and I've always told them, that's great. You probably want to have a girls' night, and all of you girls go and see those horror movies, and I'm going to go, watch a comedy or go to the bar or something like that, and then just call me when you're done. But I get that people get excited about these movies and these franchises, so that's why I wanted to talk about it, because while I don't understand it, maybe you can explain it to me in the comments section and just share what's so great about the Halloween franchise and like why you like this story and what's great about, this villain, what makes him so memorable. Like, he's part of that whole movement, right? Where you had the Halloween movies, you had the Jason movies, you had the Freddy Krueger movies, like you had all of these like still popular today villains that I've always just kind of looked at and gone, okay, I understand the Freddy Krueger one because that's like in your dreams. And so when you go to bed, you think you're safe, but then like something can kill you in your dreams. That's terrifying. So I get that concept for a villain, but just throw in the comments below, like what makes Mike Myers, the Halloween villain, like so great? Like, what is it about his character that's just like, this is terrifying? This is what makes a great horror film. And just explain it to me and just give me some more background, because maybe I'm missing something, because I feel like I am as far as like the franchise goes. And if you're excited about this news, throw that in the comments below too and be like, yeah, I can't wait to see Jamie Lee Curtis in this Halloween anniversary film that Blumhouse is going to be doing. So if you're a horror fan, I think this is great news, and I'm happy that you're happy. So just share why you're happy, and kind of give me some more details as to why you like this villain and why this franchise has lived on as long as it has, and just kind of help me understand, because I guarantee you, since I don't understand, there's got to be other people who don't understand. So maybe you can bridge that divide and get everybody on the same page in the comments section below. Lord and Miller are back and writing the sequel to Lego Movie 2. They stated this film will explore the topic of gender differences. So it sounds pretty straightforward, but I don't really understand what they mean. And let me explain. The psychological philosopher writer side of me goes, there's a lot of differences. What specifically are we talking about here? Like, are we like, and what age are we talking about those differences, right? I heard that news and like it sent my brain into like this vortex of questions, and I was just like, what do they mean? So I don't get it. Like, Lord and Miller are really great with like writing comedy and stuff like that, and like getting to themes and carrying those themes through. But I didn't understand like if you look at like different topics in society, like you have the differences that we hear about on the news where the women are voicing their opinions about the pay scales and wanting to be paid the same as men for doing the same jobs. That's a difference. Is that what we're talking about with this movie? Are we going further back to something like Kids on the Playground, where you would see like the girls all hanging out and the girls are picking on each other, but then you see the boys hanging out and the boys are beating each other up and they're like, you know, dodgeball and everything else. Like there's those two, the emotional side versus the physical side. Like you have books like Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, which is a great book, by the way. If you haven't read it, I definitely recommend you check that out. And that explores the differences between men and women. You have books like Modern Man's Search for a Soul by Carl Jung, which I'm reading right now, which is great. But it explains a lot, and that even digs into some of the physical differences chemically between men and women. So what testosterone versus estrogen, and how men, as they get older, like once the testosterone starts to drop in production and women with the estrogen. And so you start seeing the men and women complement each other again because they're starting to pick up the traits of the other side because of what their body's naturally doing. Like there's just so many differences that this could mean. Like I read this news and I was like, oh cool, Lord and Miller are coming back. And then I read that bit about, and they're going to explore the differences in gender, and like my brain blew up. It was like, as you just witnessed. Like, I don't know what that means. Just tell me what it means. What specific area are we talking about with differences, so that I can kind of go, okay, that's what they're talking about. This is what the movie's probably going to be about then. And then I can get excited for it, as opposed to just sitting here going, well, I have no idea what that means. That could mean anything. That could be any number of age groups. What does that mean? So yeah, I'm looking forward to more information so I can calm down and not sit here in a giant stress bucket trying to figure out what they're talking about when they say gender differences, because that is a very vague and all over the place statement that makes me go, well, that could pretty much be from birth to death. Let's narrow it down, Lord and Miller. And I'm looking forward to future press releases that do exactly that. Narrow it down so that we know, okay, this is what Lego Movie 2 is going to be about. And then we can all get excited, because Lego Movie was really good and really funny. Honorable mentions this week include Hellboy the Movie on Twitter dropped the first look as David Harbour as Hellboy. Shape of Water, Coco, 50 Shades Freed, The Disaster Artist, Red Sparrow, and All the Money in the World dropped brand new trailers this week. Stan Lee says Leonardo DiCaprio would like to play him in a movie. Spike Lee and Jordan Peele are working on a thriller entitled The Black Klansman. John Wick 3 gets a release date scheduled for the summer of 2019. All right, and that wraps it up for the news. If I missed anything, as always, there's so much news that happens throughout the course of the week, we can't get to everything in one show. So sound off below and share some news stories that you thought that were pretty exciting that maybe we didn't get to. If we covered anything that you particularly enjoyed or disagreed with, again, sound off below. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up.